Ok, muy bien, bienvenidos otra vez a otra lección. Aquí estamos en el capítulo 3 de Panorama y hoy vamos a hablar acerca de los adjetivos posesivos. We're going to talk about possessive adjectives, section 3.1 in Panorama. Possessive adjectives are adjectives that modify a noun, a person, place, or a thing, and they indicate quality of ownership or possession. So, my pen, right? The my is a possessive adjective. It modifies pen and it tells who owns it or to whom it belongs. In Spanish, possessive adjectives agree in number with the noun. So my pen, my pens, in English, we just make pens plural. In Spanish, the word my is also going to become plural to modify the noun because now we have a noun, lápices. And so the possessive adjective is going to agree with that in number. In the case of nosotros and vosotros form, they also, the adjectives will change according to gender. So we're going to go through this chart. I'll have you repeat after me the two different, the singular and the plural form of each of these possessive adjectives. Clase repitan. Mi, mis, tú, tus, su, sus, nuestro, nuestra, nuestros, nuestras, vuestro, vuestra, vuestros, vuestras, su, sus. Okay, now as I went through these, you may have picked up on a couple of things. Let me just point out a couple of specifics for each one of these. When we say things like yo me llamo, my name is, I am called. When you're pronouncing it, I'll hear people say mi llamo, and you got to make sure that the me, the me, is in English, in Spanish, pronounced me, with that short e. The mi, which means my, is pronounced me. So that's a very important distinction. You want to make sure you pronounce the words correctly because they mean different things. Second one, the word tú. Notice in this one, the possessive adjective, which means your, does not carry an accent mark. Tú with an accent mark means you. Without an accent, it means your. So two different words, and that's why we're being so encouraging on the correct use of the accents in the quizzes and the things you write, because it's not just spelled incorrectly, it's the wrong word. There's a whole different word there. Next one, su. Notice that we have su and sus on there twice. That's a third person singular and third person plural possessive adjective. So that means it's going to be used for usted, él, ella, ustedes, ellos, and ellas. And we'll have a different slide that talks specifically about su, but notice that that's very commonly used. Nuestro, nuestra is going to change for masculine or feminine nouns. The other ones don't because they don't end in an I or they don't end in an O or an A, so we don't change those. But nuestro does, and so does vuestro. And again, we're not going to spend much time on vuestro. Now, no surprise, you know how it works in my brain to categorize these and to see them. So here we go again. First person singular, mi and mis. Second person singular, tú and tus. Third person singular, su and sus. First person plural, nuestro, nuestra, nuestros, nuestras. Second person plural, vuestro, vuestra, vuestros, vuestras. And third person plural, su and sus. So again, that just is how my brain works for me to be able to plug things into the appropriate box and remember in my brain which subject pronoun goes with it and which ending of the conjugated verbs. And again, vuestro, vuestra, we will not hold you to remembering that one, but you want to be able to recognize it. Okay, we alluded to this, but in English, the possessive adjectives are invariable, which means they do not change. We don't change my for whether there's one pen or two pens. In Spanish, we do. The noun is plural, so we make the adjective plural, just like with the descriptive adjectives we talked about in the last lecture. So they're going to modify the noun and they're going to agree with the noun. If they can change for masculine and feminine, then they need to. But for sure, for singular and plural, they will. Okay, so for example, mi primo, mis primos, mi tía, mis tías. And then for nuestro, nuestro, nuestro primo, nuestros primos, nuestra tía, nuestras tías. Okay, so if the noun is singular, the possessive adjective will be singular. If the noun is plural, the possessive adjective will also be plural. They always come before the noun that they modify. Okay, always. So it's going to go immediately before the noun. ¿Está tu novio aquí? No, mi novio está en la biblioteca. So is your boyfriend here? No, my boyfriend is in the library. Always immediately before the noun that it modifies. All right, now because su and sus have so many different meanings, there's a way that we clarify that. If it's going to be obvious in the context of the sentence to whom you're speaking about, then you just can use a su or sus. But if you walk up to somebody and say, ¿son sus plumas? Are you talking to them and ustedes? Are you talking about him, her? Are you talking about them? Are you talking about to a group of people? So to avoid confusion, we use the following format: the article plus the noun plus de, which is origin, right? Same thing with yo soy de Idaho. So de means of or from, and then the subject pronoun. So es el lápiz de él. Okay, el lápiz, that's the article, the noun, de meaning of, and the subject pronoun su. That's how we're going to avoid confusions, by clarifying who that su is. We don't repeat the su because now this is taking the place of it. So instead of saying su lápiz, we'll say el lápiz de él. If it's two lápices and they belong to those boys, los lápices de ellos. Okay, so in this example, sus parientes, parientes means relatives. It could be pretty much anybody's relatives. Los parientes de él, los parientes de ella, los parientes de usted, los parientes de ustedes, los parientes de ellos, y los parientes de ellas. So those are all contained in the sus parientes, but we clarify it by using the article plus the noun plus the preposition de plus a subject pronoun. Okay. Now, obviously, you could substitute that subject pronoun with a person's name. You could say el lápiz de Juan, right? This is Juan's pencil, or pen, el lápiz de Juan. So where it says subject pronoun, you can put in el, usted, or ella, whatever, but you also put in a proper noun, a person's name. All right, so here's the exercise. You get a number of your paper. There are two different sets, so 1 through 8, and just stop it here for a second, pause, and you're just going to just fill in the single word on the left and on the right, 1 through 8, and then resume. We'll come back and we'll go through them all together. Okay, welcome back. Bienvenidos. So número 1 ya está ahí. Es mi libro, right? My libro is only one, mi libro. Clase, repitan, es mi libro. Muy bien, número 2, my family, my familia es ecuatoriana. Mi familia, ¿verdad? Singular, the only thing you have to worry about is singular and plural for my. So clase, repitan, mi familia es ecuatoriana. Muy bien. Número 3, your familiar esposo es italiano. So the familiar form is tú with the accent. The familiar form, the possessive form of tú is tú without an accent. Clase, repitan, tu esposo es italiano. Muy bien. Número 4, our professor es español, is from Spain. Y our becomes nuestro. So because profesor is singular, and because it's masculine, nuestro profesor es español. Número 5, es her reloj, which means watch or clock. Okay, singular, su. Número 6, es your familiar mochila. Es tu mochila, no accent on the U. Número 7, es your maleta, speaking of somebody, en usted, so it's going to be su. Es su maleta. Clase, repitan, es su maleta. Número 8, their sobrina es alemana. Singular, plural, or singular feminine. Feminine doesn't matter because it becomes su. Clase, repitan, su sobrina es alemana. Okay. Number 1 on the derecha. Sus primos son franceses. Right? Primos is now plural. We make the possessive adjective also plural. Clases repitan. Sus primos son franceses. Número 2. Our primos son canadienses. Now here we have a word that's going to change. Primos is plural and it's masculine. Clases repitan. Nuestros primos son canadienses. Muy bien. Número 3. Son their lápices. So lápices is plural. Son sus lápices. Now notice that it's not plural because it's their, as in third person plural, right? We're not modifying. They is not the subject. They is the possessive. The noun that sus is modifying is lápices. So it doesn't matter that it's ustedes. It matters because there are more than one lápiz. So clases repitan, son sus lápices. Muy bien, número 4. Their nietos son japoneses. Sus nietos son japoneses. Número 5. Son plumas. Our plumas. Plumas now is plural, right? Our changes for masculine and feminine. So plumas is plural and feminine. Son nuestras plumas. Número 6. Son my papeles. Papeles is plural. Son mis papeles. Clases repitan, I'm sorry, let's go back to number 5. Clases repitan, son nuestras plumas. Y número 6, son mis papeles. Número 7, my amigas son ingleses. My amigas is plural. Mis amigas son inglesas. Clases repitan, mis amigas son inglesas. Y número 8, son his cuadernos, it's plural. Clases repitan, son sus cuadernos. Muy bien. So again, the take-home message from here is that these possessive adjectives, they're modifying the noun, not the person to whom you're speaking, right? If you're speaking to a group of people, but they collectively only have one pen, it's still su lápiz, right? The sus is not because of ustedes. The su is because there's only one lápiz and that's singular. So the possessive adjectives modify the noun that immediately follows. Okay, going to go ahead and pause again. You've got 8 questions here. This is the familia de Manolo, and he is explaining, introducing, and talking about his family. So pause the video, number 1 through 8, write down the correct form of the possessive adjective in parentheses, and then we'll come back and go through it. Okay, muy bien. Número 1, me llamo Manolo y mi hermano es Federico. Nuestra madre, Silvia, es profesora y enseña química. Now, on this one, if me had been an option, that would be something you would consider, right? But mis doesn't work because there's only one madre. So he could be saying my mother, but he's saying our mother because that was the best option in the parentheses. Número 3, ella admira a sus estudiantes porque trabajan mucho. 4, yo estudio en la misma universidad, pero no tomo clases con mi madre. Es muy inteligente no tomar clases con su padre. Número 5, Federico trabaja en una oficina con nuestro padre. Número 6, su oficina está en el centro de la Ciudad de México. Número 7, Javier y Oscar son mis tíos de Oaxaca. Oaxaca, it's a beautiful city in Mexico. Y número 8, ¿y tú? ¿Cómo es tu familia? Okay, so again, if you miss some of these, then go back and look at it. Figure out from the context what they're talking to. Some of these could have had different options, but according to the options in the parentheses, this was the only correct way to answer these questions. All right, aquí en más práctica, you're going to take this description using a possessive adjective and you're going to rewrite it using the noun de, the subject pronoun, okay? So the example, su hermana es bonita, and ella, la hermana de ella es muy bonita. So you're going to answer this in regards to the person in parentheses. You use article, noun, de, and then that adjective, or that pronoun, and then complete the sentence. If this were a quiz, make sure you capitalize that first word in the sentence. Make sure you have a final period. I'm still amazed at how many people are losing points from just super simple things, writing in a complete sentence, okay? So pause, come back, we'll go through these. Okay, número uno. Su casa es muy grande. I'm not sure who the su refers to. La casa de ellos es muy grande. So it's going to look different to you because you have ellos followed by es, right? That looks weird because we want to have ellos and son, if you thought that far. But the subject is la casa. That's the subject. That's third person singular. One house is. The house is very large. La casa de ellos es muy grande. The subject and verb still have to agree. Número dos, ¿cómo se llama su hermano? Who's hermano? ¿Cómo se llama el hermano de ellas? Okay, so nothing has changed there except for describing it. We're replacing su hermano with el hermano de ellas. Número tres, sus padres trabajan en el centro. Whose padres are they exactly? Los padres de ella trabajan en el centro. This one's almost reversed to number one because now we have ella and trabajan right next to each other. But the subject is los padres. That's third person plural. And that works with trabajan. So los padres de ella trabajan en el centro. Número cuatro, sus abuelos son muy simpáticos. Which abuelos? Los abuelos de él son muy simpáticos. Los abuelos is the subject of that sentence. De él is taking place the possessive adjective. Número cinco, Maribel es su prima. Whose prima? Maribel es la prima de ella. Número seis, su primo lee los libros. El primo de ellos lee los libros. Okay? So it's going to require you just to give it some thought and then to get your eyes accustomed to seeing the pronoun next to a different conjugation of verb that it might have otherwise. In many cases, it'll be the exact same, but in some cases, it will look different to you. But remember what the subject of the sentence is. Okay, now this part is not in the text. Just simply, you're going to number your questions from 1 through 7. In this one, you're going to hear a spoken question, and you're going to answer it in the infinitive. The answer is always going to be yes. We're not even going to worry about changing it up and just always answer yes. For example, you'll hear them say, es tu lápiz, in your long pause, and you're going to answer, sí, es mi lápiz. So again, sí, followed by a comma, es mi lápiz, followed by a period. That's a proper sentence. So number your papers 1 through 7. I'm going to delay it. I want you to write your answer based on hearing it, not on seeing it, but then I'll let you see the question as you form your answer, okay? Aquí vamos.
3. Preguntas. Answer each question you hear in the affirmative using the appropriate possessive adjective. Repeat the correct response after the speaker.
So you're going to write the correct response.
¿Es tu lápiz?
Sí, es mi lápiz.
Okay, that's the model.
1. ¿Es el novio de Rosa?
Sí, es su novio.
2. ¿Es la calculadora de ustedes?
Sí, es nuestra calculadora.
3. ¿Son tus compañeros de cuarto?
Sí, son mis compañeros de cuarto.
4. ¿Son mis papeles?
Sí, son tus papeles.
5. ¿Son las maletas de ustedes?
The freebie.
Sí, son nuestras maletas.
6. ¿Son los libros de Raúl?
Sí, son sus libros.
7. ¿Es tu padre?
Sí, es mi padre.
Okay, muy bien. So again, if you didn't get them right, then pause, rewind, go back and listen to them again. If you need to pause, if you didn't have enough time to figure out, then pause as you repeat it, pause the recording, give yourself time to understand what they're asking, formulate your question. I know it's there's not much time there, but that's what we're looking for. We're looking for you to be able to have conversations with people, right? Not always have things written down. So, all right, you've learned some great concepts. It's going to save you a lot of time. And this week, as we talk about our families, you're going to be able to understand, you'll be able to explain who is who and how the things are related to people, what ownership is, what possession is, and make it work with these nouns. So, muy bien. As always, let me know what your questions are. And good job. Good luck with this week's lesson. Bye, guys.